Hello everybody, welcome back to another Project Diablo 2 video. Sorry for the delay of this build guide, but you know, holidays came up and got busy with some personal life stuff, and yeah, that's why there's a delay, but I'm back and I'm gonna do the build guide finally on the Zealer Paladin. I did kind of min-max him a little bit from my 100 run video, so he is using slightly different gear. He's level 88 right now. As for my gear, I am using a Death, Rune World, and a Ethereal Berserker Axe. It's a on the high side roll with 340 enhanced damage. As for a helmet, I'm using a Crown of Ages. That rolled 2 socket. And it's corrupted with 6% maximum life, and I have 240 enhanced damage jewels in it. For armor, I'm using a Fortitude with a pretty high roll. Amulet, High Lord's Wrath, of course. This is pretty much an essential for most melee builds. The shield, I'm using an Exile Rune Ward and a Ethereal Vortex shield with a very high roll on it. And it also has 44 resistance on the base. This is a pretty in-game shield for this build, I feel like. But you could use basically any elite paladin shield base with like 40 plus res would work just fine. I'm using Steel Rends with a 10 increased attack speed corruption, but you could use Drax or any 20 IS unique glove would probably work just fine. I'm using a Raven Frost with Life Leech corruption because I don't have any Life Leech. I only got it from my rings. Like I said, you can use Drax Glove and get Life Leech that way and just use a regular Raven Frost. I'm using a Verdungos with also a 10 increased attack speed corruption with pretty mid-tier rolls. It's my other ring. I'm using a Bull Cathos Deathband, also with a Life Leech corruption. This is a really good ring for this build. And then for my boots, I'm using a Gore Rider with Magic Find. As for my charms, I just kind of threw on some random charms just to cap out my res a little bit, and just some max damage attack rating charms. Nothing too spectacular with the charms. A little bit of magic finding charms too. And a Nihilus, of course. Relatively low rolls. A Geeds with high MF roll. All resistance, large charm. And then low Paladin Torch. As for gear wise, none of this is set in stone. I mean, I've tried out a few different variations of this build. I used a G-Face, 2 open socket with 2 ums, and a Stone Rune Word, which is really cheap to make and gives you a ton of defense. For weapons, you can use an Oath in either an Ethereal Berserker Axe or a Scourge. That works pretty good. This weapon is a good alternative if you can't afford a Death. So is the Stone Rune Word for an armor if you can't afford the Fortitude. An ETH Death Cleaver is a pretty good option too, but you'd want some pretty good corruption on it. Probably enhanced damage and some other type of mod with a 2 open socket would be ideal. That'd probably be best in slot for this build, but I unfortunately am not rich enough to afford that, so I have to work with my Death. As for stats, this is basically my stats, the damage I'm doing. Capped out res, pretty high life, crazy defense. I don't have max block or anything. I just went for full defense build. Basically just enough strength to use all my gear and then the rest in the vitality. Skill tree, I've maxed out Zeal, maxed out Sacrifice, 1 point in the Joust, maxed out Holy Shield, maxed out Fana, and then I got 1 point in Defiance for the synergy for Holy Shield. As for the Mercenary, he is using a Pride Rune Word for the concentration on aura for damage boost. He's also using a Templar's Might for might, of course. I'm using this on a Act 2 Mercenary with Blessed Aim, so I can get a little bit more attack rating. Vampire Gaze that I upped and got 2 socket on. String of Ears. I don't like using Gore Riders on a Mercenary. I like Inferno Strides better because it gives me the resistance and the maximum fire resistance, so he has a lot more survivability in maps and doing chaos runs. And Drax, of course. I'll showcase him a little bit and do a quick chaos run and show you how he playstyle of him and how he works. Basically, I just use Joust into packs and then swap to Zeal. Basically destroys everything in its path. As for the damage I'm getting with all my buffs, I got about 13.5k attack rating and 11k, almost 12k Zeal, 25k defense. I haven't tried this character or anything on Ubers, so I don't know how it works for those. But for regular farming, it works fantastic. It's not the fastest build, but it's definitely fairly fun to play. I enjoy it. Basically, the survivability on this character is insane because of the high defense. I hardly ever get hit. And if I do with Life Leech, I just gain it all instantly back. It just absolutely demolishes packs when you teleport into them. All that deadly strike and crushing blow really adds up. I'd have to say the Deadly Strike's probably one of the most important aspects of this build. Because when you hit Deadly Strike, you're doing double damage. Makes the build feel a lot smoother and just clears so much quicker.
Death can save you from me.
Absolutely just demolishes Diablo. Mercenary didn't survive though. It's unfortunate. Also for pre-buff, I use Demon Limb, which gives me a pretty beefy attack rating buff. And then, you know, of course, lidless for the +2. But yeah, that's pretty much it for my take on the Zealer in Project Diablo 2. Hope you guys enjoy the video.